Hello, folks, and welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports. The Hill published a story today about Maryland Representative Jamie Raskin, a Democrat from Maryland. In the report, Raskin said that the Electoral Count Reform Act, which was part of the abomination $1.7 trillion, $1.1 trillion deficit spending omnibus bill from a corrupt Congress that spent 10 months not doing its job. He said that the Electoral Count Reform Act was stuffed into that bill, by the way, the Congress passed to adjust federal election law was necessary, but doesn't solve the fundamental problem of the Electoral College. Of course, the issue with that piece of legislation was that it pretty much confirmed or solidified that the vice president's role was a waste of time. It's simply a ceremonial position in certifying Electoral College, despite an 1887 law that says otherwise. Now, Raskin, a graduate of Harvard Law School, was a constitutional law professor at American University at the Washington College of Law for more than 25 years. He entered the Maryland State Senate in 2007, representing the uber-wealthy D.C. bedroom bureaucrat communities of Silver Spring and Tacoma Park in Montgomery County. In the Maryland legislature, he advocated for abrogating the death penalty. He's also a former board member of Fair Vote, a lobbying body focused on destroying our electoral system with a first-past-the-post beauty contest for the office of president. He introduced legislation to legalize medical marijuana in Maryland, pushed for same-sex civil unions, and when he ran for the House of Representatives in 2016, he was endorsed by pro-communist Bernie Sanders. He was also the primary author of the illegal impeachment of former President Donald Trump in 2021. And I emphasize former president. An impeachment is a political trial to remove an official from office. A private citizen cannot be removed from office. And finally, he was appointed to the sham January 6th committee to get the president. Now, Raskin said we should elect the president the way we elect governors, senators, mayors, representatives, everybody else. Whoever gets the most votes wins. Really? Really, Jamie Raskin. He said the Electoral College itself was a danger as there are many curving byways and nooks and crannies that some can use to create strategic mischief. How so? We've had 5 presidential elections determined by the Electoral College itself in which a candidate lost the popular vote in each century. What's the problem? He says, we spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year exporting American democracy to other countries. And the one thing they never come back to us with is the idea that, that Electoral College that you have, that's so great, we think we'll adopt it too. Well, first off, why are we spending hundreds of millions of dollars to promote something we don't even have in America? This is not a democracy. That's fraud. That's a lie. As a constitutional law professor at American University, a graduate of Harvard University, you should know better than that. So either you're a liar and a propagandist, or you're not very bright, and all the students should demand a refund for the courses they took with you at 25 years in American University. We don't have a democracy. We have a constitutional republic. It's sheer lunacy to lie to people in that fashion. That's one reason why the American public is not particularly well informed about what's going on in this country. Now, Jamie Raskin quoted Thomas Jefferson in a quote in which he bemoaned this sacred trust that people placed in the founders. It's an effort to denigrate the founders, relying on Thomas Jefferson, one of the original founders himself. Raskin said that Jefferson recognized the founding fathers do not have the experience that the public has today, and the Electoral College does not fit anymore. That's utter nonsense, utter nonsense. And of course, one has to understand what the purpose of the Electoral College is, which Jamie Raskin either understands and is lying to you about, or is one of the dumbest law professors in America. The purpose of the Electoral College, if we go back and remember how this country was founded, 13 separate independent colonies who broke away formed the Continental Congress and fought for their freedom. They briefly came together under the Articles of Confederation, which proved to be an abysmal failure, in large measure because the central government was too weak. But 13 states came together, not 13 ethnic groups, not 13 language speakers, not 13 religions, 13 states that came together. At the time, there were a handful of large states. Those large states were Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Virginia, and New York. Of the 13 original colonies in 13 states, 4 were large population and had large economies. Had we not created a system to protect the interest of all states, not simply the citizens of our republic, but all states, which was the novel invention of a bicameral legislature, which, of course, Jamie Raskin is dishonest about. He doesn't explain to you why the Senate is the way it is. By the way, he's also dishonest because we didn't elect senators based on first past the post. Senators in this country, until an adoption of an amendment in the 20th century were selected by state legislatures. With 32 states currently under control of Republican legislatures, well, 31 with Pennsylvania potentially falling back, but that would be 62 or 64 Republican senators, not 49. Would you like that, Jamie Raskin? That's how this country was originally set up, because the states formed a union in order to form a more perfect union, not the people, the states. The people are represented by the House of Representatives. Each representative is based on population, a portion based on the population, giving California the largest number of members of the House of Representatives, and giving Wyoming the lowest number with just one representative in Congress, Liz Cheney, till January 7th. Yes. So Jamie Raskin is either an outright fraud or a liar. We would never have had a union. There never would have been a constitution adopted unless we came up with a provision to recognize states' rights, that states were preeminent. This is a union of states' sovereign power. Some things are assigned to the U.S. federal government. And of course, that all is clearly spelled out in our Bill of Rights. Under the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, it's quite clear that all powers not specifically enumerated to the federal government or prevented to the states by this Constitution fall to the states and or to the people. Jamie Raskin is lying to you, and those who read The Hill and believe his drivel are either poorly informed or unable to form cogent thought and critical thinking. Now, here's the worst part about all this. Jamie Raskin is on the House Committee on the Judiciary. Imagine that. This person who lies to the American people about our system of governance and our political system, despite teaching as a law professor for 25 years, is on the House Committee on Judiciary. Even more frightening, he's a member of the subcommittee on the Constitution, Civil Rights, and Civil Liberties. Jamie Raskin, who either is incapable of understanding the purpose of the Constitution, its role, sits here and tries to tell us in the 21st century the Constitution is not appropriate for today, that we should go with a first past the post system. The beauty of our representative constitutional republic is that we do not allow tyranny of the majority. 50 plus 1 don't get to decide that it's okay to murder children in the womb. 50 plus 1 don't get to decide that it's okay to execute prisoners or not execute them. 50 plus 1 don't get to decide how this country advances. It requires a collaborative effort by all. And that's why we have a bicameral legislature. Jamie Raskin sits in the House, the lower body of a bicameral legislature, in which his powers are constrained and limited by the Constitution, which he clearly has disdain for. Don't fall for Jamie Raskin and the frauds from the Democrat Party and the political left. Just because they have fancy titles doesn't mean that they understand or care about the Constitution. Those of us who have supported and defended the Constitution and given our lives to protecting Americans, their freedoms, their liberties, their property, their homes, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Listen to us, because we don't have an agenda like Jamie Raskin does. He wants permanent political control of this country for leftists so they can remake it into their socialist nirvana and turn our country into the failed state of Venezuela. That's their desire, while they live high on the hog. Anyway, folks, thanks a lot. Jamie Raskin, once again, spewing nonsense despite being a learned professor of law. Become a subscriber. We appreciate your support. Cheers, everybody, and good luck in the new year.